through, then that's it for the last time.
I'm good. Dude.
So just wait.
Yeah.
Okay, then there you go. We answered all your questions.
Elijah, do me a favor and just put on the bottom.
Do you want to see? Thank you.
Just let everyone.
Is it okay if I get one of the,
Yeah.
the other ones?
The other ones. You want
Want
both?
me to hand it to you?
No, we're good.
Thank you.
No, it's good.
So everybody else get these packets, both of them.
Final decision?
Everybody got a packet?
Well, they're right here if anybody needs.
Yeah.
You gonna check and see if it's up?
That's what I'm checking out.
I could refresh my page.
Ambrose,
Yes.
you need 2 packets.
We're good.
Need 2 packets.
We're on.
Yeah, you
We're
need
live.
So I guess since we haven't presented this on, you
Yes.
got the DEP person to,
Yeah.
that's weird.
Placement program on the
You got the DEP presenting? You have the DEP sit at the table then too?
Yeah, that's fine.
Got the whole thing.
This one, I don't want to look at
Yeah.
this one.
Okay, so you're gonna have her, you're gonna offer her a seat
And
too?
this
Yeah.
one too.
What else?
Yeah, the DEP and,
Just
yeah,
two.
the DEP and, you got the agenda?
Should be one.
things about the water fund?
I think I saw that.
Yeah.
I don't know where that's right.
Yeah, right here.
Put it somewhere else.
Yeah.
We're gonna start, yeah.
Live? Yep.
The water fund is right here.
Thank you.
This is on? What do you want, in the middle right here?
Yeah.
What is on?
Yeah, put it in the middle.
That's true.
I'll put it right there. Start. Today is May 15, 2024, 6 p.m. This is the Environmental Justice and Sanitation Committee meeting. You're going to start the meeting first, introductions. Here, just say your name. Are you a member of the board or presenting? So, start over.
For Mr. Francis.
Mr. Francis.
Best committee member.
Turner and Copperstone committee member.
Matthew Shore, committee member.
Gandhi Ambrose, committee member.
Karen Keegan, presenter.
Elijah Rodriguez, vice chair.
There you go. Right.
Rolls off your tongue.
You're sinking in, right?
Raquel Ortiz, I'm a board member.
Stephen Palmer, community associate for Bronx Community Board.
Anthony Jordan, district manager to the community board, and everybody is acknowledged, Mr. Chairman. This meeting is being publicly broadcast on our live YouTube channel, Community Board One, and also for our minutes for the community. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
My name is Cesar York. I'm the chairperson for this committee. And we have 2 presentations today. One is from South Bronx Unite, and the other one is from the Department of Environmental Protection. The first one, South Bronx Unite, is going to present about the waterfront plan, right? Yes, so you can start now. And you introduce yourself a little bit about yourself
That's organization.
in the organization.
That sounds good. So good afternoon. My name is Matthew Shore, and I work at South Bronx Unite as a community organizer focused on green space equity and community land trust. I want to thank the Bronx Community Board One for allowing me to present today on the waterfront community engagement that South Bronx Unite has been busy with, especially over the last couple of months. And I want to thank the chair for allowing me to do this presentation. So today I'll be updating you all, as I said, on the community engagement that we've been doing over the past couple of months. But just because this is the last couple of months, I just want to mention that, South Bronx United has been organizing with community members for, more than 10 years now for a waterfront in Mott Haven and Port Morris that is equitable, accessible, enjoyable, and sustainable. We are in a high-risk flood zone. So if we can go to the next slide. So I'll give you a little bit of a background. I'll talk about the exciting opportunity that we have with the new EPA Community Change Grant. I'll talk about the community engagement that we've been doing in relation to that grant. And then I'll mention an upcoming event that we have. Next slide. So for those who don't know, South Bronx Unite, we are a community-based advocacy organization specifically focused in the South Bronx neighborhoods of Mott Haven and Port Morris in this community district. And so we've been around, as I mentioned, for more than 10 years. It started as a coalition of community members, residents coming together, organizing against pollution in the neighborhood and the industrial growth of the waterfront, which, as the community members argued, had very much a disregard for the community's health overall. And so that led to more collective organizing for basically stronger rights of self-determination. How could community members not only organize but have power and control over neighborhood assets through community land trust? So very much similar to, shout out to Nosuke Damos, who's also doing community land trust organizing, very similar to what they're doing. As you all know, we have the Hearts Community Center successfully approved by the city. Transforming the former Lincoln Detox Center into a new community center. This was approved by EDC and New York City Health and Hospitals. And this community center will offer holistic health, education, and arts programming, kind of continuing the legacy of, holistic programming and services that were provided in that building before it was shut down in 2011. And so besides the Hearts Community Center, we are, very active in protesting and organizing against air pollution. As y'all know, I'm speaking to the choir here. We have one of the highest rates of air pollution in the city, state, and country. Same thing with asthma. And so we are very much, active in that, in coalitions such as New York Renews, in partnership with organizations like We Act. And we are also trying to activate green spaces in the neighborhood in an equitable way. We believe that St. Mary's Park is the only real green space in Mount Haven and Port Morris. And, a lot of parks and playgrounds in the neighborhood are actually heat traps that exacerbate urban heat island and that offer little real green spaces. And so we are trying to change that. Community members came together around 2013, 2014, after protesting against industrial changes in the neighborhood and the move of Fresh Direct to the neighborhood, as y'all are aware of, and created a community waterfront plan. This waterfront plan seeks to activate, we can go to the next slide. It seeks to activate the waterfront from the Harlem River to the East River. So right now you're looking at where the Bronx Kill meets the Harlem River. That's Fresh Direct over there. And this is Waste Management's trains, and soon you'll see their facility. So as you can see, the waterfront, and by the way, most of the waterfront in Mount Haven, Port Morris is publicly owned land. And we argue that it has not been used for public good. It's, as you can see, not accessible, not meant for community to enjoy. And it's very difficult for community members to try to navigate that space. You have to go over train tracks. You have to dodge, a lot of huge heavy duty trucks to try to get to that waterfront space. And then on the right side, you have Randall's Island, which is under Manhattan jurisdiction. So just a complete, inequity and contrast, from the South Bronx to Manhattan. And we argue that you shouldn't have to go to Randall's Island to access healthy, livable, enjoyable, sustainable, all those good adjectives, green spaces. You should, yeah. You should have them right in your community. You can go to the next slide. More images. This is the East River. As you can see, lots of industry here. And again, nothing against people working in these facilities. Many come from the Bronx and, trying to put food on the table. But we're against the policies that created this, lack of regard for community health and well-being, and ultimately environmental resilience. We are, as y'all know very well, in a high.
So is this in the Bronx side or?
This
Yeah.
is the Bronx. Yes. And so right there, the
Is
two.
it by the brewery?
East side.
Yes, it's close to the Bronx Brewery. And so right there on the left, those are two peaker power plants, Con Edison, and we can go to, and then that building right there is New York Post. It's currently vacant, and so it may not look like it from this picture, but if you go to the next slide, there are like slivers of land, adjacent to these industrial areas, that can be green spaces.
Yeah.
Other communities across the city have activated green spaces on the waterfront near industrial areas. Newtown Creek is a perfect example of that. And so we're trying to do the same thing. Our community. Sorry, I'll just take a.
I got it from here because I don't want it to be too high up. Thank you. You can continue, please.
So our community waterfront plan, it's also important to note, was prioritized by the State Department of Environmental Conservation in its open space master plan in 2014. Um, and so that is, that was a victory for the community, and gave the community waterfront plan, just the teeth and the, just the encouragement that we could actually make this happen. And so we've been kind of over the years waiting for, funding opportunities. And so we can go to the next slide, please. Thank you, Steve. This is the last you know, drone video. And those are the other two peaker power plants. We have 4 peaker power plants in the area. That's FedEx right there. And again, like all that waterfront, we're on a peninsula, and it's there's just no access to be able to enjoy the waterfront. The last thing I'll mention is there's studies that show that access to water is like good for your health. It's good for your mental health. And so, not only this is good for, recreation, enjoyment, but also for healing, So, okay, we can go to the next slide.
The power plant is still active, right?
Yes. And so they're supposed to only operate in times of peak energy consumer demand. But we've done some studies and research that shows that those peaker power plants are actually running not only during times of peak energy consumer demand. So we've advocated for the Harlem River plants that was just shown to be, for its permit not to be renewed, and for it to, convert to clean energy. So where are we now? So as I mentioned, the EPA has a new grant that is pulling funding from the big Inflation Reduction Infrastructure Act. And so community groups like ours, like environmental justice groups, can potentially win up to $20 million to implement a community-led, environmental justice project. And so we are going to try our best to win that full $20 million, not to activate the whole community waterfront plan. And by the way, I've passed out flyers for the waterfront plan here. And if you scan this QR code that says more info, it will take you to a brochure which gives you details about all the 7 locations in the waterfront plan, from the Harlem River to the Bronx Kill to the East River. And specific details about financial costs, et cetera, et cetera. And so $20 million can activate this whole waterfront plan, but it could start to activate at least 2 sites in the waterfront plan. This is one. So if you go to the southern end of Lincoln Avenue, the picture on the left is what you will see. And that's a space that people, as you can see in the picture, in this community, they know about. They go fishing there. That they enjoy it. They play music, have a nice refreshment, whatever the case may be. People have put street art and paintings there, and activated it on their own, which is beautiful actually. But it's just like, first of all, that area right there is sinking into the water, and it's a space that so this location and the other location I'm going to show you right after this are the only 2 access points to the waterfront in the whole Mount Haven Port Morris Peninsula. The only 2 access points, and so we are trying to, make it something that is enjoyable, accessible. Again, high risk flood zone, so we're trying to make it sustainable. And we also want to make the route to this location easier. We want to have signage. We want to have trees and bike paths or something. Community members have been sharing those ideas with us, and I'll get into detail about that. You can go to the next slide. By the way, the video on the right hand side is just showing you like how to access the site and just how it's, there's not really a lot, like a clear indication of, how to get there, that those sites exist. So this is close to the Randall's Island connector. It's all the way at the eastern end of 132nd Street. And there used to be a pier there. That's what we call it, the East 132nd Street Pier. And, it used to be something that, the community enjoyed. This is, if you look in the slide deck on the second page, this is the view from that pier. And this is how it used to look, as you can see. What happened was it was damaged in an explosion in the 80s by the Con Ed plant next door. And it was just never repaired, never fixed up again. And that view is spectacular, by the way. There are holes in the fence that people go through to be able to enjoy that view and go fishing over there. And again, as you can see, there's a consistent pattern. Like, despite these locations being accessible, people in the community refuse that reality and still try to make it their own. And so this is the second and last location that we're looking to activate with that $20 million from the community change grant. And okay, we can go to the next slide. So we've been busy over the last month and a half, 2 months. We have a great technical assistance team from Rebuild by Design, from One Architecture, E-Design, a couple firms to mention that have been helping us to, create a strong application and competitive application that will win, and that have been helping us to, make connections and, and alliances within city government, that can help us win. And so they've been helping us behind the scenes, and they've also been helping us to create maps and diagrams that we can continue to receive community input from. Even though, yes, we created this community waterfront plan with community members circa 2013, 2014, community engagement never ends. Times change, the neighborhood continues to develop. And so we wanted to, before submitting this application, receive more feedback from our community members, learning from community members. Okay, what are the challenges in accessing those 2 sites that I just showed as of now? What do you want to do when you're at those sites? What do you want to do along the way to those sites? What kind of amenities do you want to see at those sites and along the way to those sites? And so we've had a great, learning exchanges. Our first community envision session was held on April 3rd at our office space, which is seen on the left. And then this past Saturday at St. Anne's Episcopal Church in their cafeteria space, we had our second community envision session. And we have, decent turnout at both events, roughly around 30 people, and people of all ages, people who've been in the neighborhood, for a long time. And then we had one of our community members did a community engagement on her own using these maps. I think, somewhere around 149th Street. And she had 40 people giving feedbacks on the maps, and from ages 4 to 90. And so we've engaged around 100 residents so far, and we're looking to launch an online survey next week that will be up for like 2 to 3 weeks to gain more feedback from people who were unable to attend these sessions. That's what it's all about, accessibility. And so people have been sharing a lot of great ideas. They want to be able to relax at these spaces. They want it to be a space that could be enjoyed by people of all ages. They would like more transportation, public transportation at the locations and to the locations. People have been sharing, maybe these sites could be, a ferry stop. We're currently synthesizing the information. I'm just sharing like just a little scratch of the surface of all that we've heard from people. People want, green spaces, places that, could be spaces for community gatherings and events. Um, so it's been amazing to learn from people about, what are the challenges and opportunities. And we'll, obviously with the online survey, learn even more. We can go to the next slide. We also had an Earth Day celebration on Saturday, April 27th. Cesar, you were there. And so this was a beautiful event. Like we went right next to the Lincoln Avenue street end, the first location that we're trying to activate with this federal grant opportunity. And this location is public land. It's owned by the state, but it's subleased to Waste Management. And so we had to get clearance from Waste Management to have this event. Usually when we do Earth Day events, we have it at the Maria Sola Community Garden, which is at Lincoln Avenue and East 134th Street, for those who don't know. And this was one of our first times actually having a big event at the waterfront. And it was beautiful. We had, music, Cesar, resident DJ, turning the tables was great. We had food, and then somebody who's involved with this community board, actually, on the right hand side, you could see Leslie Lopez, was the artist, the local artist that we worked with to create. You can see it on the right hand image a little better. A public art installation that we put up at the fence for that event. And that was a beautiful art installation. Leslie obviously led and took the charge with designing it, but it was nice because people in the community were able to add color to the campus themselves. And the big banner that you can't see is like, it says this water has history. And so it's kind of honoring, the community, honoring the history of activism for an accessible waterfront in this neighborhood. And then people were, adding color to it and adding their own manifestations to it. You have some text there, people saying public land for public good. You have somebody saying welcome to Mitchell Houses, really honoring and celebrating the community. And then we even had maps there, showing people, like getting feedback from people about how can, the waterfront locations, these two locations be activated and et cetera, et cetera. Next slide. So I'm going to wrap up real quick in a bit. We have a local action committee that, we, as community leaders, members of our community, who we organize with, it's the central core of South Bronx Unite. If anybody's interested or if you know anybody that would be interested, let me know. I help to, run this committee, and we meet monthly. And there's so many different ways that, people can plug in. We've learned so much from members of this local action committee, and people are plugging in different ways, doing outreach, taking interviews with media, helping to, plan for events, sharing ideas for, new art installations, all kinds of things, and ways for people to plug in and get more involved in the community through this local action committee. Can go to the next slide. So the last thing I'll mention is we have an upcoming event that's related to green space equity. This event here, this Saturday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's in partnership with the New York Botanical Garden, La Finca. It's for Bronx Week, and it's basically we give a lot of environmental justice tours in the community. This is another one that we're doing, highlighting the legacy in the South Bronx of community gardens and green spaces being activated from nothing to something. And just the opportunities that there are for healthy food, and food justice, and all that good stuff. So there's going to be a bike tour for this event and a bus tour. So super exciting. We'll have food. It's going to be a good time. So
It's gonna be that Saturday, back tour on the bike tour on the bus tour. It's gonna be Sunday.
yes, so whatever you prefer, bike or bus, we got you, and we're gonna be meeting at La Finca, at 11 for the event for the tour. And so with that said, that completes presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions?
May I ask one question?
Sure.
Just out of curiosity, I know it's a high-risk flood zone.
Mhm.
What areas that would affect the Mott Haven, but do you know like the circumference of how far that will go into the land?
The flooding.
Yeah,
So
I'm
there,
wondering about that.
yeah. So there's a great new tool that was just launched by the city called EJ NYC, which has different environmental like indicators, right? You could see like which areas have more air pollution than others, which areas have more flooding than others. And so they have like the flooding map, the floodplain map, which shows like the kind of the extent to the flood risk zone of our neighborhood.
If you can give me the link.
Yeah, yeah,
Look it up.
yeah. Of course. Great question.
Great.
Anybody else?
Yeah, what does like ecological resurfacing look like for this plan?
Yeah. Can you expand on ecological?
Like meaning like greening the space and with because you had mentioned well, first this is an amazing plan. I definitely want to be more involved. I'm really glad to learn about it more so. Super important and definitely necessary. And I'm just like in my mind, I'm trying to imagine how the process will happen, like with resurfacing green space, and also you had said because it's a at-risk flood zone, like usually ecological services help prevent more flooding. So I'm curious, like how or what what that looks like. Just like
Yeah.
plan of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the waterfront plan that we have, really seeks to center nature-based solutions for the waterfront for flooding, and so it ultimately seeks to create like interconnected natural green spaces from Harlem River to the East River, and so even in the community envisions that we've done, people have shared like we need more natural green spaces. We need, more permeable spaces. We need more trees and to be able to absorb the flooding. One of the things that we're talking with our technical assistance partners right now about is the different kinds of green infrastructure that could exist at these locations. Do we want to do? And I'm about to get a little wonky for a bit, so please pardon. Should we do cloudburst, or should we do what's the other one? Like, regular like DEP standard like drainage. I'm probably messing up the terms that they would use. Are you from DEP? Okay, so
I'm glad you said cloudburst. I'm glad
Okay.
you know what that is.
but cloudburst is something that DEP is. I don't want to say not keen on, but it's not something that they've implemented to a large extent as of
We're
yet.
just starting now.
Just starting. So it's something that is those are just the two
Yeah.
solutions
Okay.
that we're weighing, and it's important to note that these two sites we're looking to activate it's important, but the work continues, the organizing continues. We have to continue to organize for locations adjacent to these two sites to be able to start to really meaningfully address the flooding issues, address the environmental issues.
I have just one clarification because a couple of years ago, we sent an email to you because we approved the Haven project. That was from the 132nd Street here. And they had NYP had a road inside and everything, but just the money didn't fall through. There was issues with like the money was going to the wrong place. Like DOT was getting the money instead of the hospital. And so I just trying to know if I just spoken to those organizations that were doing the Haven project and the issues they face. Was one of the major ones that the project didn't go through is because over time the money you have to the expenses added up over time. So it's how you talk to them to
Speak up,
tell them about
chair,
these
so the
things.
mic is speaking. Speak
Huh?
up, speak up, the mic is speaking. You sound low, the mic, can you speak up, please?
Gotta speak up.
Or come closer to the chair table.
Come closer to the table. Yes, yo, those things. How you talking to NYFP, the architects that did that design, and I know I used to say that because they came to the board multiple times, and then we were also telling them about like I was there in those times. I was saying like it's was signage or anything. There's no connection to NYCHA. NYCHA and public housing doesn't know about the project. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do in order to have the people from public housing know that this project is happening? The trees are not there. It's in the industrial area. We're talking about safety issues because there's lack of lighting in those areas. So I just want to know how much have you spoken to them about their experiences and what they learned and things like that. So because like I said, they came here and the project was needed some money.
Yeah, great question. By the way, that's what's made me really pleased is that we were intentional with our engagement. At these two envision sessions that we had like residents and leaders from public housing at those engagement sessions providing feedback. We didn't want them to be left out of the conversation. We had people from Mitchell, from Mott Haven houses, namely, you know, and hopefully, you know, we've been really looking to connect with people at Millbrook houses. So, you know, if anybody has contacts there, that would be great. Oh, okay, all right. So, it's all
There
right.
you go.
Hopefully you could fill out the online survey
Okay.
when we have it. To your question though about the Haven plan, so yes, that was origination. That was like the OG of the community waterfront plan that we have now. What happened was New York Restoration Project (NYRP). They had funding, they had capacity to start that project and to start community workshops. And you know, for a while they were championing it. And as you mentioned, DOT, yes. So funding came in to activate the East 132nd Street pier that I presented today. By the way, DOT still has that money; it hasn't gone anywhere. So that money could be used still to activate that site, which is exciting. And Ayala and our elected officials are committed to the city, you know, using that money to activate that site, which is great. You know, the thing is that New York Restoration Project, I guess they around the pandemic time, they went through some organizational changes, and decided not to prioritize the Haven project any longer. And so South Bronx Unite, you know, we were so involved with that process that they led, and we said, you know what, we can't let this, this plan, all the work that our community did, just go to waste. Just go back into the archives. We know we need to continue to organize it. So this is an evolution of that work, and yeah.
The second one has to do with is a 20 million to develop a plan, like architecture plan and everything to figure out the funding, or is it to actually construct something?
It's to construct.
To construct, so
Yeah.
there's no pre-plan. It's not the funding just tells you to construct this.
Yeah, the fund. So the funding would be to construct, and that's the good thing. It's like this, this community waterfront plan is like shovel ready, and then the feedback that we're getting is gonna bolster what this waterfront plan is calling for, and so the TA providers are even gonna create like some renderings and consider the environmental design implications, and we'll have some more information. Obviously, when the application is finalized and submitted, that's going to be shared with the community board for y'all to see.
And the final one, so I mean, has to do with. I know institutions come here to do projects
Mhm.
for organizations. A lot of times it's like Columbia,
Mhm.
Pratt's, and then for me, it's trying to have more institutions fund our communities.
Right.
So how you engage more with those institutions, that education institutions from our community to do these things.
Right. So we, have been building a partnership with MS 223 and local public schools. And so what our partner from the local action committee actually engaged a lot of local, public school students when she did her engagement and trying to build a relationship up with hostos, going to hostos events and things like that. We invite people to our events, and they're not always able to attend. So we've sent out the invites to institutions like hostos and whatnot. But with the online survey, again, that's another opportunity for people to be involved if they were unable to make it to engagement sessions.
Joe? Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. I just have a couple of questions. First of all, help me understand this. We're the only borough that has a waterfront that we do not use that waterfront for recreational use. Have access to that water for recreational use. Is that correct? Or one of few.
So I mean, I have to acknowledge Orchard Beach, So I don't want to say the whole borough.
Non-beach areas. So I'm talking about areas
Like industrial areas?
A lot of our waterfronts are all populated, like you showed in your videos, are populated by, unfortunately, other non-environmental friendly areas. And one is a vacant newspaper building. Another one is refineries and garbage waste stations, and we're finding a lot of stuff, and we see a lot of this happening in Hunts Point where they use that for oil refining spaces. Used to be also another space where they had burning medical waste incinerating.
Mhm.
This is something I go far back to the 80s when I used to be one of the younger community organizers who looked at some of the environmental justice issues that have been impacting this district for decades.
Right.
And unfortunately, and then I'm one of the founders of Friends of Book Park, and so we understand how, unfortunately, we're not. And so I commend the work of Michael Johnson and the rest of the team at South Bronx United who are being able to look at these issues. We're looking at, and so I want to, as district manager and as our chair, Chris Aliato, we want to say that the community board should be used as a space, a partner working with you on this work and working with South Bronx United on this work. We know that this is something that's been immensely important to us, our community chair, for many years, and we're finally focusing on some of the environmental injustices that have impacted this neighborhood. And you should use this community board office as a location for the action committee to meet, because it should come from government as a partner. And I'm saying this to you right now today that we are that partner. And so we look forward to talking to you in the very near future for your hosting some of the action committee conversations, and through our leadership of our chair. And also talking about looking at, have you looked at charter schools like Dream or others, to the public schools? But I said some of the charter schools are unfortunate. Our kids are fortunately going to charter schools where they have more opportunities, but they also are looking at environmental justice issues. Also, have you thought about working with charter schools?
Yeah, so I mean, our office is 1 block away from Dream Charter School, where y'all had the last general board meeting. And so
Carissa Aliato, our chair, told me that Mitch said that this is her asking that question. This is for the audience.
Oh, okay.
So
we would definitely, love to keep working more with especially with Dream, which is right there, right by the waterfront, right? So definitely would love to work with Dream, especially, right? And even have events in that amazing community space, right? As well. So yeah, for sure. And when we had for example, the Earth Day celebration, in the week leading up to that, the public schools were on break, but Dream was still in school, and so we were doing. I was going to the Dream right in the front whenever the school was letting out for the day, and passing out flyers, and then passing out flyers for this waterfront envisioning session, and parents, families were very excited by the work that we were doing, and we want to keep that communication going.
So yes, you are willing to partner with Charter Schools.
Short answer, yes.
Yes, you are willing to work with us to help with hosting your action committee meetings here at the community board.
And yes, and actually people like Delorny, people who sit on the community board are a part of the local action committee and support South Bronx Unite. So yes, absolutely.
So Chair, this is your committee and with the vice chair and the rest of the group that we
You have a
so
question?
just to have your contact and the secretary. So please communicate with our committee secretary, leadership of this committee, and we'd be happy to host and working with our team to making sure that this space is made available because it should come from also government and partnering with it. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You had a question now?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Are you working with an elected official working with you positive into the project that you're working on? Are they really helping you achieve your goals?
Yeah, so we're thankful for the support from our elected officials. I mean,
All of them or just a particular one? Because we need to know who among them is not working with you. It's very important to know that.
no, I would say actually all of them have been supportive.
That's what I want to know. That's what it's supposed to do.
And one thing I'll add to that is, and I didn't mention it during the presentation, but for the application for the EPA Community Exchange Grant, we need a co-applicant. So that co-applicant for the application could be a public agency. It could be another community organization. We believe that the application will be stronger if it's in partnership with a city or state agency. So right now, our technical assistance team is trying to, and with the support of our elected officials, we're trying to, knock on the door of, for example, of the New York City Mayor's Office of Climate and Environmental Justice to get their support, and also, exploring possibilities to potentially partner with DEP.
That's our sister agency as well, MOCHA. So
Yes.
let me know if I can help.
Either DEP or DOT doesn't look too likely, but so we're looking at DEP, EDC as a potential partnership. Those are sort of the two ones that's mainly being talked about right now, as far as I know. I mean, these are conversations that Michael and Arif are more taking the lead on. So yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to know, like, in my district, the congressional district changed.
Mhm.
Now we could say redistricting. Now AOC is in my district, so
Right.
Millbrook is AOC's district. And
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yes.
now they have they went to your event, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So
How is that interaction going? Like, are they putting their? I know they're working on the Green New Deal stuff.
right.
So are they, kind of telling other people that could be part of the Green New Deal things or policy or whatever? So just to get maybe congressional funding or whatever.
When they came to the Earth Day event that we had on the waterfront, they had a table there and they were letting people know like about the redistricting, as you mentioned, and how AOC's district is going to be, if she gets elected, will be, including, Mott Haven, Port Morris, as you mentioned, the big chunk of it, and was there talking about the Green New Deal. But they clearly, have shown that they want to support grassroots environmental justice-led projects from groups like ours, from groups like The Point, and so that's our founders and our leadership appreciated that, and that was a positive thing to see.
Thank you for the
Is
presentation.
there anything in the YouTube chat?
So I actually realized I can't see the YouTube chat because I'm not signed on to it on my computer.
I don't see anything in the chat.
Okay, I see that it's just, I think it's just.
We had like two people.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
So right now, what is really important to get funding? Like how are you advocating? Where are you just focusing on city or state since it's different ownership, or does it not matter?
We were also considering New York State parks, but it seems like the city would be the best, and possibly EDC because they can just get things done quicker and easier. Like DOT and different agencies just don't have that ability. And so we've worked with EDC for the Hearts Community Center, and so there's already that history of partnership, and so that makes a lot of sense. The other part of your question was
Like right now, are you all, as you're organizing, are you advocating for funding? Like, is there an ask when you're like out in spaces and just like is it targeted for whoever wants to sponsor this money or?
We have to submit the application to ask for to try to get that funding. But but the organizing is obviously the community support is number one, and obviously, and then the political support as well. A buy-in from our elected officials is there, but we want to continue to sound the alarm to strengthen it as well. Yeah.
I have something I want to say.
Sure.
So, what are your main points of inspiration for this waterfront? Have you looked at other parts in the Bronx? Because in the East Bronx towards Hutchinson River Parkway and my Soundview, there's a beautiful waterfront that stretches from Soundview to Classens Point. It's like a park, and it's amazing. And then in Hutchinson River Parkway, you have the waterfront towards Trump Links, and they also turned it into Ferry Point Park. So I was wondering if you were looking to make it something similar towards that, like a park and green space that way, or were you really planning with it in that sense?
Yeah. So yes, there are like Flashing Point. That's a great one. Soundview Park. There's some beautiful. Bronx is the borough of parks, believe it or not. So it's a little different because this is an industrial area. So there's opportunities and limitations. And so we have to see with these small two areas that we have, first of all, what the community feedback is going to be synthesized into. From there, we can understand the design possibilities with the limited, because $20 million can't, again, it can start to activate, but we will still need funding after that to make those spaces that get activated even better. So that's another thing to mention. So, the technical assistance team that we have will, outline the design possibilities that we have based upon the community feedback and the amount of funding that's available. And from there, we will be able to maybe to reference. They will probably have some references to other locations in the borough and the city. For example, Newtown Creek, as I mentioned, is one good example of a waterfront area that was activated in a very industrial area with very limited spaces adjacent to the waterfront.
Yeah, that's why I was just mentioning Ferry Point Park, because it's very sort of industrial. You have the Pepsi warehouses there, and you have the truck warehouses as well. And you also have a golf course, Trump Links, kind of just hogging up a big chunk of the waterfront. And there's that little tiny space that they worked with where they made the fair. So I was just wondering.
At Rock's Neck?
Hutchinson River Parkway by the bridge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we'll check it out. Thank you. Appreciate that.
I would just wonder about the gantries.
Ferry Point Park.
That's
Yeah.
Ferry Point Park.
Thank you.
I want to ask one more question, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Have you looked at, has the organization thought about looking at federal dollars and looking at the Army Corps engineers to help assist in making sure it's sustainable for a long period of time and helping to do the build out of this of these recreation access points and in the areas you're talking about?
Right. So
I'm sure members of Congress should be. Congressman Serrano was instrumental talking about the cleanup of the Bronx River and access of the Corps engineers and some working class point. And so I want to talk about the long sustainable stuff as we look at what possibilities, and DEP may want to jump in a little later down the line, what would be some storm related issues that come about in the future as we look at climate change. I'm sure it's something that we might want to, that's going to be impactful and also sustaining for years to come. Have you thought about it? I know that the iron's hot. The $20 million you got to get before somebody buys a cut. Unfortunately, that's going to eliminate it. I'm just thinking, you have to use the money immediately. Is that a timetable, or is it maybe access more resources to make it so that it's going to be something super amazing than what the community is already thinking in its visioning conversations?
Great question. So if we win the $20 million, fingers crossed, yes, it will have to be spent within 3 years. So that is, an opportunity and also a challenge.
Right.
Especially
Well, I don't know. You make $20 million because I'm sure that some of the nonprofit
3
people
years?
around the table can think about how they use $20 million.
Right.
Right. But
But it has to be used within 3 years, but also the project has to be activated within 3 years.
Ooh.
oh wow.
Right. So that's the tight
That's
timeline.
tricky. That's a tricky part.
Man,
Right. That's the
Mm.
tricky
Don't
part.
have the city build it then.
Uh,
It's gonna take 10 years.
so yeah.
I get what you're saying. Okay.
Uh,
This is a thought process. I think because these folks have the Army Corps of Engineers, I'm sure you know, have the experience of getting things built and ready and done in quick and heavy fashion. But I understand that how the 3 years is
Really?
it's like a.
You think they're quick?
I think they are in some aspects, depending what they're doing. But
Okay.
you have more experience than me,
I don't know.
so we can argue about that another time. But that's what
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about.
can I mention one thing in
Sure.
response, real quick? Is so, as I'm sure you know, like the Army Corps had the whole New York, New Jersey tributary study, addressing flooding challenges and opportunities in our metro area, and a lot of community groups came out in opposition
To their work.
to the work because you have environmental justice groups across the borough, right, who came together with community members in their respective communities to form community waterfront plans and community green space equity plans in their respective communities. And many of these plans center nature-based solutions. Many of these plans
Right.
center access to the waterfront. And any of the Army Corps, for all the good work that they do, let's acknowledge it. They were like, okay, let's just raise up a seawall in all these locations. And, so a lot of communities we're not having that.
All, right?
No access at all. So that's something like we're in partnership with groups like the Waterfront Alliance, Environmental Defense Fund, in coalition with groups across the city, to hold the Army Corps, to really, to be accountable and to honor these community-led plans.
Sure.
We just started a new coastal bureau in DEP too, and I hope that will help that collaboration as well.
Mhm.
It's getting up and running, so we're still trying to figure out what that looks like. But our new deputy commissioner is going to be doing a lot of projects around the city. So, and she, I know, works with the Army Corps very closely. So, hoping that will, improve that in case you want to look at that down the road.
Yes, that's great to know.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so I just wanted to say something quickly. Like, I used to be an intern in Congressman's department. We were talking about tourism in the waterfront. One of the areas was the gantries to connect the ferries. Ferries connection to the gantries to North Broads Island. Those areas in order to increase the people's view of the waterfront. At that time, you know what it is. Everybody thinks it's industrial. There's no way to get to the waterfront, and people from outside don't want to come in here sometimes. So, are you saying that was talked about like years ago? I was wondering, you spoken to some people maybe in Serrano's office, maybe that they were talking about that stuff regarding those ideas.
Yeah, with the gantries, that's a part of the waterfront plan. We want to activate that space. It's so the cover image of the presentation was showing the gantries area. It's right next to the 132nd Street Pier, and man, that would be beautiful if we could activate that. And so, all I can say is we have Serrano's support generally. The gantries is a location we hope to activate in the future. We can't activate it with the $20 million because the space is larger, and but we in before April, I want to say March, around March, let's say, we gave a community tour, which had Serrano's staff member there, June Soto, and had people from the EPA, and people from Con Edison, like all these important stakeholders. We gave them a tour of the waterfront, and Con Edison, and they actually opened up the gantry's location for us. We were able to walk right by that waterfront area, which the public is never able to do. So that was amazing. Everybody was like, ooh, and so it was amazing to see that space. And it's not the priority. It is a priority, but our priority right now is these two locations.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Tara. How you pronounce your last name?
Deegan,
Vegan?
like the highway.
Oh, like
Yeah.
the highway?
Like the major Deegan. Yeah.
Are you related or any chance?
No, unfortunately, no. No. So I'm Tara Deegan with the New York City Department of Environmental Protection. I work in the Bureau of Public Affairs and Communications, and I'm here today to talk about our lead service line replacement program that we're just kicking off. And nobody has actually gotten letters on this yet. We're a little bit behind from when I did my last presentation, but people in the community should start getting letters about this. So I wanted to just make sure all of you were aware in case anybody calls you thinking that this is a scam or what is this. So you can go to the next page or the next slide. So what is a water service line? Most people don't know what this is. I did not know what it was even after I was a homeowner and until I worked for DEP. So it's the pipe that connects your home to the water main in the street. That's what brings your water. You have two of them. One is for wastewater, one is for drinking water. This program is solely for the drinking water component. Homeowners in New York City, it differs from state to state or city to city, but homeowners in New York City own it in its entirety. So you are responsible for the whole line, maintaining it or replacing it, even the part that goes under the street. So you can go to the next slide. So some people have lead water service lines. Most of the city has copper service lines, but there's about 100,000 properties that are either we think they're lead service lines or they're galvanized steel or we don't know. So if you have a lead service line, that means it's probably over 60 years old. Lead for service lines were banned after 1961. And they're usually on houses, 1 to 3 family homes, because those service lines are smaller. Bigger service lines can't support lead because it's a little bit brittle and it can't support that weight. So it's smaller homes built before 1961. So, the good thing for people, and I always like to tell people, we strongly encourage people to replace their lead service line. We don't want lead around us. We just don't want it in our houses. But it's also not something people should panic about. We do treat our water with orthophosphate. It's a food grade additive that we put in during our treatment process. It's just like baking soda. So what it does is it goes through our pipes, it coats our pipes to try to prevent any leaching of metals into the water. So that is an anti-corrosive measure that's really helpful. And also 99% of any lead poisoning that we see in the city is traced back to lead paint. So again, I don't want people thinking that they should be panicking that they're getting poisoned every day, but you could be at risk, especially pregnant women and children. You just don't want to have that lead exposure. Or if you are doing work in your house and it cracks or breaks, you don't want to have any particles there. You can go to the next slide. So we're doing a replacement program, and this is in line with the federal government's, with the Environmental Protection Agency's lead and copper rule. So we're really trying to ramp up this lead service line replacement program. It is completely free. It is thanks to $24 million in grants and low interest loans from New York State and the federal bipartisan infrastructure law. A lot of people, when we reach out to them about this program, they just are in disbelief. They don't think that it's possible that we could be offering a free service and that you'll never see a bill, but you won't. So it will not be on anybody's water bill. You will not get a bill later in the future. And service lines can cost up to $10,000 or more to replace. So I always tell people I'm a homeowner in the Bronx. I volunteered to be the guinea pig for the first one because if I was offered this program, I would take it. So you can go to the next slide. So for eligibility requirements, we obviously just have a limited amount of funding right now. We hope to our plan is to continue this program until there's not a single lead service line left in the city. But we had to narrow it down. We looked at EJ areas, we looked at the median household income, and then we looked at density of service lines. The Bronx actually is the only borough to get this at the moment, which is great because I feel like we're often the forgotten borough. And it was based on income requirements and also the density of lead service lines, because if we can do concentrated areas, which oftentimes you see that because a lot of homes were built up at the same time. So if we can do concentrated areas, it helps us with our contractors, it helps keep costs down. So we selected the participants. Only eligible homeowners who meet those requirements will be contacted by DEP. So there's no sign up. We will do the work of contacting people. So if you're not getting a letter, you're not part of the program. If you do get a letter, then we need you to sign a waiver and we'll be in touch about replacing it. So you can go to the next slide. So these are the program areas, and I just wanted you guys to see this because we are going to have contractors going out, doing this work, contacting homeowners and possibly tenants. And so you guys are in the contract area A, which is JR Cruz. So I just wanted you guys to see that. If you see those contractors around the neighborhood, if they're knocking on doors, it's not a scam. These are DEP contractors. Did you get one?
No, well, not for this, but to do the maintenance of the pipe.
Oh, okay.
So.
Okay, from DEP on the meter or something like that?
No. This is a company that reached out to me that I must.
Got it.
So it was kind of shaky.
Understandable.
And I put it on the side.
All the letters in the outreach will have the New York City DEP logo on it. So it'll say New York City Environmental Protection. It'll all have that logo on it. And then typically we will have a DEP worker with our contractor as well. So, this is a relatively new program for us. We've done pilot programs, which went really, really well. Our biggest issue, I think, was getting people to sign on to do this. So we really want to figure out how to encourage people to do this, how to make sure that people understand it's not a scam. And if you go to the next slide, it should have the program steps. So after you get the letter, or if we make contact with you, the contractor will work with the homeowner to schedule an inspection. What I always tell people too is, listen, first of all, you should do this for your house. You should do this for whoever's living in your house. This is a great idea. We want to get the lead out. It's much better to have a safe, clean copper line. If that's not enough to be persuasive enough for you, if your service line does break in the future, New York City does not allow plumbers to repair lead service lines. You have to replace it in full. So it is very expensive. And if you are offered this, I would take it. And it's actually relatively simple. It looks like a lot, but it's going to be about 1 to 2 days of work. What they do is they dig some pits, one in the street, maybe one on the sidewalk and one by your house. They will disconnect the lead service line. They'll leave it straight in the pit. They don't touch it. They don't take it out. There's no remediation work. They'll snake a copper line through. They'll reconnect it to your house. Typically, if anything, they'll have to just drill a tiny hole that's 2 inches that fits the service line in your foundation. And then you're out of water maybe a few hours. Then they'll restore everything just to make it safe. And then a restoration contractor will come in and fully restore the street, the sidewalk, any grass, or your driveway. So I always tell people to let's do an inspection, at least schedule an inspection, and then we can go from there. The contractors will talk to you about what the process is like. If anybody finds any obstructions, like let's say you have a really nice old rose bush in your yard that we just really can't get around, at the time of the inspection, you can say, you know what, I'm not willing to lose that.
Inspection is $500.
You don't know. Well, I mean,
No, it is. I'm telling you, it's about $500.
or 10,000. You know, like it's a good trade off.
No, I understand.
But listen, that's
yeah.
that's your choice. So that's why we say, listen, just have the inspection at that time. If you really decide you don't want to go forward with it, you don't have to. But we strongly encourage it. It's kind of like a one-time deal.
Mhm.
We also might have legislation coming down the pike that will mandate people to replace the service lines as well. So I just want to persuade as many people as possible to take advantage of this. It's not super disruptive. As I said, I'm a homeowner in the Bronx as well, and I would do it. So, and I've seen it done. So we've had very good feedback from our contractors doing this. I've had a lot of happy homeowners call me that said, oh, wow, it wasn't as bad as I thought. I wasn't out of water that long. So that's what you can expect for the program. The contractors will go over everybody over that with them. If there's any obstructions in the basement, they can talk about that then. So you can go to the next step. So we are hoping to get final sign off and approval for our contracts this month. We are hoping to start sending out letters as soon as we get the go ahead. And then as soon as people start signing up, we can start replacements in June. And this will just be ongoing until we finish. You can go to the next one. So there might be people who are outside of those contract areas. If you're like a block away or 2 blocks away and we get a question about that and we can fit someone in, we will. We'll do everything possible. But if you're not, again, I don't want people panicking. We do have a map that people can look at. They can see if they have a lead service line or not. That's all linked on our webpage. So they can look up a map. We highly recommend that people flush their plumbing. I have information for you on that. There's instructions on our website too. I could also give you that flyer if it's helpful. Flushing the plumbing is really good, especially for older homes. If it's stagnant, in the morning, if you go away for a couple of weeks, I would run all your faucets, clean your aerators. You can also, I highly recommend that people sign up for the, it's basically an insurance program. It's this is American Water Resources that contract with us.
$11.
Very cheap. And I would highly recommend doing water and sewer. Again, I do it. I just had them out to my house twice and I probably saved a couple $1,000s. It was free. So I highly recommend that just for normal wear and tear stuff. And then, should you have any sort of repairs needed, AWR can come out and help you. We also, if anybody's concerned about lead levels in their water, you can get a free residential lead test kit. You can call 311. We'll mail you that with instructions. You fill up your bottles, you mail it back to us, and we'll give you a full report on what we found in the water. So that's for people that maybe are not eligible. Even people that are eligible but want to wait, that's a good idea to follow all those steps anyway. You can go to the next page where I have information on. So it's a simple website, nyc.gov/leadpipe. That's our landing page. It has a bunch of information. We have a dedicated number and an email address for people as well. So that's where people can go to if they have questions. I'll be reaching out to 311 as well, just to make sure that everybody will get to where they need to go. And I think that is it.
May I ask a question?
Mhm.
My concern is, thank you for this presentation. I learned actually a lot of things now regarding this. The test kit is free.
Yes.
Or for the actual service, it's up to the homeowner to pay for that.
For the for which one, the lead service line or the insurance service?
Well, I know the insurance service, you definitely will have to pay for that.
Yes.
What about the line?
No, the line is free.
Oh, that's
It's
a
totally
free
free.
service.
Yes.
Okay.
If you don't
I
take
see.
advantage of this program and it breaks,
Yeah.
we can't repair lead service lines. So we
I
will
see.
not do that. And again, it's private. So you will have to get your own plumber and
Okay.
you will be out of pocket for that.
Oh, okay.
And service
Yeah.
lines are really expensive. So
Yeah, they are.
you don't
They
realize
are.
it, and that's not the fun stuff you want to spend your money on. You want to go take a
That's
trip
And it
right.
always
instead.
happen at night.
And
Right?
that's
It always
my
happens on a
concern.
weekend or a
On the weekend.
holiday, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that was my concern because I know that
Yeah.
in our district there are low-income homeowners.
Mhm.
So
Right,
that's
and-
why I was wondering about that.
and I know, and even in my neighborhood too, I know, you may have $1 million property, but it doesn't mean that you have $1 million to spend
Yeah.
on replacing your service line.
Exactly.
So it's very expensive. It's a lot of work to get a plumber and get them to do it when you want them to. So I do
Yeah.
highly recommend that people do this.
Okay,
And
yeah.
I did want all your help to help me persuade people to do this as
No,
well.
we could do that.
Yeah.
The only thing, like I said to you, I got the one of those letters also,
Mm-hmm.
and I was very reluctant. I still have one of them
Yeah.
somewhere.
Right.
Every time it comes, I look at it,
Mhm.
and and I'm wondering if it's a legitimate thing
I
program
know.
or not.
Yep.
I think the information DEP did not do well in
Mm.
terms of informing the community, because you just sit home, somebody send you a letter and tell you that
Right.
by law, you're supposed to do this inspection, all these things.
Yeah.
You're wondering it should come from DEP first, then offer those contractors that could do the job.
Right.
So you're getting all these people sending you a letter,
Right.
getting all those talk about laws.
And that's
You
why
don't know where to
people
go.
should only you should only answer the letters from DEP. So if it has a
How do
DEP
you-
logo,
Yeah, on the envelope.
yes.
But a lot of letter will come to you with the DEP on the paper.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody can copy and paste.
I
copy
know, I
and
know.
paste.
Mhm.
I want to add to Mr. Chairman that also HPD were mandating that folks change the pipe where if you have a bowl that's dependent upon oil drop off, there's also if that's such an old, there's also a letter coming out for that as a contractor reach out for that too. So there's identify the difference between HPD mandating
Yeah.
or the Department of Buildings mandating that you change
Yeah.
the pipe that's
Or
through your
I
oil
know
in.
contractors were also contacting people for gas switches as
Yes,
well, which I
obviously,
got
yeah.
as well. I know. And so it's always I understand that, and I'm someone too, like I get it. I always think twice
Is there-
before I answer
Is
stuff.
there any way we can flip the thing around the way we can have legal information from your office before we send it to the community?
For the addresses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because what happened is very critical that
Yep.
in this time of the year where a lot of crazy people are out there coming
Oh,
out
for
with
sure.
something.
Yeah, totally.
So I think we need to either we can have a town hall meeting educating the community,
Yeah.
or tell them about this program. I tell you, I
I'm
just learned
happy
this
to
right
do
now.
I'm happy to do a public meeting with people. If you want to set that up, I'm happy to
Get on
come
board.
do that. You let me know, and I just want to get the word out. I was also thinking I was going to reach out. I know there's faith-based community groups and stuff, and obviously that's where people congregate and they trust them, and people come there every week. So I'm happy to do
If you
presentations
don't
at
mind,
those.
at one of the football meetings,
Yeah.
this little piece of information, really, I learned a lot from there.
Yeah, sure.
So imagine how many of us in the neighborhood.
Absolutely.
So in terms of criteria, you say that DEP is choosing what house
Mhm.
based on what?
It's based on, so when we narrowed it down, we looked at environmental justice communities, the median household income of the community, and we looked at our maps of where the most highly concentrated areas of lead service lines were. So because it's just easier for us, ideally, if we look at a block and there's 13 houses on the block, it would be wonderful if we could get all 13 people to sign off. We can open the street one time, get it done in a week, and then you're done. So ideally, that's how it would work. It doesn't work like that, but so that's how we narrowed it down to geographic areas. I will get you a list of the homes in the area and the addresses.
And the CD1 here.
Yes.
We have that. Because at least if we have
Yes.
those,
So
we can
it's so
actually
much easier.
inform those
Yes.
people that you are eligible for that.
Right.
And then they can pursue it.
Absolutely.
And according to, and we got a chance to meet the chief of staff when she presented for a board meeting, and it's majority of Mount Haven.
Mhm.
And it's majority of our district.
Mhm.
So if you look at this, a lot of this work that is happening in phases. As you look at the way they're rolling it out, and this data again was collected and based on the 2020 census, as we had to bring it back up again.
Mhm.
But it is likely if you're in Mount Haven or Port Morris, it is likely your home.
If the house was one of those houses that have been renovated, is it based on the age of the house?
Well,
or is just that
The service line is in the street. So it's
right?
in the
I understand
street.
because some of the houses that, let's say, a 50-year-old house, for instance, they
Yeah.
happen to renovate the house.
Mhm.
Do they change that while they're doing it? Somebody
Well-
may purchase one of those houses thinking that, oh, I got a new house, where actually still having
Well, so we have things, it's called a tap card. So plumbers, when they pull permits, have to update that tap card for each service line that goes in. So some of our tap cards are not great. Some of them are unknown. Some of them say galvanized steel. Some of them say lead. Some of them say copper. Some of them have not been updated. But we're really trying to update our whole database. So we have a relatively good sense of what each line is made of. And if you go to our website, there's a link to the map. If you type in your address and click over it, it'll say we don't know, or it's lead, or it's copper. So you can tell what it is.
Because so if you go in, type my address, that can give me that information.
Yeah. And so that's how we did it, where we looked. Also, if we just don't know, it could very well be copper. And I do feel like when we've done the pilot, the unknowns turned out to be copper. It's just that the records weren't updated. So as we go do this, we'll update our records. So 9 times out of 10, it wasn't lead, but that's fine. That's great. Now you know. But anybody who has an unknown or a galvanized steel or a lead will get a letter.
Oh, how old are your records?
Oh gosh, oh my god. I mean, some of them go back to the 1800s.
1800s.
So it depends, but hopefully, we're trying to really get as many things as possible updated.
And given the timeline, Chair, we'll invite the chief back. We'll have scheduled to the full board meeting so that we'll get a broader audience. The full board meeting usually has anywhere to 80 and 90 people who attend, so that and homeowners can move the meetings around. I know there's a time to the table that was mentioned, the pop-up presentation, and it's also there. So we're going to try to get this done in June, begins in
and
June.
And if you don't, we're just there's not like a set time frame, and this is just the first step too. So we're slowly starting to get this word out. I hope as we start doing stuff, people will talk to their neighbors. We're also gonna we just wanted to get this started, and we wanted to get a shovel in the ground in a couple places, but we'd like to do some media outreach as well. I think if people see it on the news, they'll be like, oh, I did get that letter, and oh, the news is saying it's real. So I hope that will help as well, and word of mouth. This is pretty much brand new, so I think it'll take people a little bit to get used to.
We want to try to get this done during the nice construction weather seasons.
Yes, that too. Yes, we're trying to get through it as quickly as possible. Yeah. Yeah.
How is your communication like? We have a large Spanish population, so
So we're going to try to allocate staff as best we can who speak the language of the area. We also have something called Voyance, where it's an interpretation service, so you can use it on your phone and call an interpretation service and have it on speaker when you're at the door with someone. The letters will have an extra page to it with translations on it, and then we'll translate all the letters as well. So into 12 languages, I think. So that will also be on our website. And we will have the translations on our website. So if you guys too want to pull that letter and give it to anybody, it'll be available.
If you send this digitally, somebody can actually Google Translate.
Yes,
so
and
that'll probably be the best.
And I would like to have this translated, this presentation too, just to have it, and you guys can send it out if you want.
But see, if you're gonna have it, if you can do, what I'm trying to say is that if we can do the translation just for 5 languages, right? People have it digitally. If your language is not listed, you can actually Google Translate it.
Yes, and
let's do both.
That for us too is not from the city standpoint, that's not really acceptable. So we always go that extra mile to actually translate it, and we get secondary review. We try to make sure it's especially our stuff is very technical. It's hard to translate for people. Sometimes, I don't even understand the English that we send. I'm like, what is this word? What does this mean? What are you trying to do? So we do try to make it as easy as possible, but that's fine. We can give it to you however works for you. We are also developing some postcards that have a QR code that we can use. Are you eligible if you have a resource fair? You have fairs coming up this summer. You can start handing that postcard out. So.
Thanks, Tara. First, this is really great to know. And we'll spread the word. But we, Elijah and I work for a rental, affordable rental. So I'm curious if that's down the line. Are you looking to include renters, or is it different?
Unfortunately, no. Legally, we have to have the property owner sign off on it. I would say, though, we're trying to make contact with renters, and we're trying to encourage that as much as we can. And renters should be on their landlords to say, take advantage of this. But legally, we have to have the property owner sign off.
But is that included in homeowner? Just with the word homeowner, I'm wondering if renters are even included in the search, like a business, a property owner, is that does that mean a homeowner or property?
Yeah.
Multifamily.
Okay. just
Yeah.
making sure. I wasn't sure if you meant
Whoever owns that
house.
property, because it could be 1 to 3 family, but whoever owns the property and the house, will get like because it's based on our billing system and our files on that, and whoever like owns that service line, they will get the letters and they will have to sign off.
Legitimate buildings, no owners, yes.
If there's multiple owners, we find that, I mean, the bigger buildings do not have lead because their service lines are too big. They're usually bigger. So like a really big building, I would say even the ones probably across the street are kind of too big probably. So it's smaller homes. And we find typically they're not usually owned by different people, but whoever is paying that water bill will get that notice.
All right. I have a question, and it's about your contractors.
Yeah.
So my main question with them is, I'm not knocking your contractors or anything. I'm sure they're amazing. But let's say they mess up my
Mhm.
installation on my water line. Would the homeowner come out of pocket, or
No,
like
no.
what would the reach out process be like? Would I have to reach out to the contractor or reach out to you?
You'll get information of you can reach out to DEP on that. And we actually were just talking about this morning. We had a few homes from our pilot program where a year later, they were like, something's leaking through our wall. DEP went out and sent the contractor back out.
Yeah, it's just my main concern from that is sometimes you get sent on a goose hunt. Like this
Of course.
contractor hired this contractor and that contractor hired that contractor.
So they do have certain legal obligations because they bid on these contracts. So there's certain obligations that they have. We will also do a final inspection on everything. It's in their best interest if they do, there's maybe 1,500 service lines I think that we're replacing. If they do all 1,500 in a month, they can just take it easy the next couple of months. It's in their best interest to do this well, to do it quickly, and to not have to go back. But we have certain safeguards with that too. So it's DEP will be here to troubleshoot that. And that's the other thing. I know people are very, it's concerning working with contractors. It's a little bit better with this program too, because we will be on them. They have to provide certain services for us and abide by their contract. So
Interesting. And I think that the city is sending one of they gave me a service ticket, something from the city that I must have them inspected. The inspection is a requirement. The inspection must be done.
of your meter or
No,
something
for
else?
the pipeline.
You do inspection? Do
Yeah.
they think it's leaking?
No. I think I just got that
Mm.
from the city that's what they sent to me, that the inspection must be done.
Mm.
I haven't done it because I was kind of wondering why this
Yeah.
is coming from them to me.
And if you have concerns about something you receive from DEP, we meet. My team meets monthly a district service cabinet meeting with Effie, who's a part of our staff,
Mhm.
and we go over individual case-related issues, stuff that's going on in the district. Anything you see that you may find that you're concerned about, every second Tuesday of each month at 10 o'clock in person here in the
Yeah.
office. Yes.
You
So
can
district
also
service cabinet
call. You can also feel free. So I have our community affairs. You're welcome to email me. I get like 400 emails a day, but
That's it?
you're welcome. You're welcome to email me. I also have the community affairs thing. So I would like to shift people to anybody who's asking questions. I'd like to shift them to that lead thing. But obviously, anybody here, if you want to email the community affairs, that also is public as well. But if you want to email us there too, if you ever have something you're concerned about or you're not sure if it's real, feel free to shoot us an email. Yeah,
I can scan it here and then send it to them.
Yeah, I'd listen. I'd rather help you and say yes or
No,
no
really,
than have you.
It's a good education.
Or people can call. It's 718-595-7000. That is our customer service bureau. If you're unsure about anything, you can call them and say, did you send this out? I got this letter. What is it? It's a little bit longer to wait on the phone, but they will.
795 what?
It's 718-595-7000. So, if you get anything you're not sure of how to read it or what it means, you can always call them too.
I got 718, I'm sorry, 595 1000.
7,000.
7,000. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, so thank you.
Thank you
for
so
coming
much.
here,
Thank you,
and
great.
Thank you. It's great to see you guys.
I'm glad I came here.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I didn't put anybody to sleep. That's great.
Well, it was very informative.
Okay, and please, definitely reach out. And you guys know Effie, we're here to help. So thank you so much, everybody.
Thank
Thank you.
Do we have any old business here? Anybody with old business? No? Okay, so I guess we adjourn the meeting. Oh, you have old business?
Yeah, old business.
Okay.
Okay, everybody.
Step on up to us, we could be on the camera,
Yeah,
sir.
it could be on camera.
Just I just came to hang out. It's Philip from NIPA. The cameras were right here. Yeah, I just came to hang out, but I know we had a good conversation last week. I appreciated it. I thought it'd be good just to have a presence, not just to come when I have something to say. And then also, I know you all had really robust questions about energy, power, things you asked about NIPA and some of the infrastructure projects around clean energy transmission, and if the economy goes bad based on the Spain example you gave. So I'm working on getting those answers back to you all because I think you deserve to, have your questions, have a response to your questions. So just wanted to update you all and stop by.
Really appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks. No problem.
Thank you.
Sanitation. If somebody from sanitation department, go ahead and ask what they gonna do about so-called business that clean up for the businesses. But yeah, and not only that, we got a bad people that clean up behind their dogs. So we walk their dogs in front of the schools, houses, workshops, and especially at night and so forth. That was one of the worst ones in the day that you had to bring a dog in there, two-legged dogs can't clean up behind themselves. I don't clean up four-legged dog. So that is a health issue right there. Because it's concrete out there. And not doing no bleaching water out there and that stuff. I know all the time to beach. I know what we did when we dumped out cars got picked up in our stores. We took water and bleach, threw on that concrete and so forth, sanitize. And not even doing that. And then we talk about environmental asphalt. Well, I was told years ago, because of the Cross Bronx Expressway, the highest travel highway in the United States, and because they changed the rules about truck traffic, they let long trailers come here, because Governor Christie, when he was governor of New Jersey, shut down the building of the rail line that would transport the goods in New York City, so they used the tractor trailers to transport the goods there, which bingo. Because every time I pass through there, I see traffic backed up going towards the George Washington Bridge, not coming back, going there. And I was told years ago about Chairperson Mr. Service that because of all that truck traffic, that's why we have all this asphalt and pollution in the air and so forth.
Yeah.
So there's still issues that's still on the table that have to be dealt with.
So right now they're talking about the Cross Bronx Expressway to pave it, right? To do green roof on
What
top.
they're talking about right now, they're talking about the federal government had paid for that rail line, but Christie shut it down, even though it's already paid by the federal government, because he said he didn't want to put New Jersey in debt. Now they're building another rail line through there to a bunch of that stuff. Like, keep in mind, they used to have a whole lot of boat traffic. I remember the barges coming down the Harlem River and the East River.
Yeah.
A whole lot of that had disappeared down right now, even though that goes back to the zoning. And most of the areas around the water line is zoned for commercial use, not for housing. So that can be rezoned. We're going to put housing there. Because they made a presentation over 25 years ago. They were going to build 85,000 apartments along the waterfront of the Bronx, from 167th Street all the way down to Hunts Point. And I asked only one question. Once again, if this half known apartments have one child, how many schools are going to put there? I'm still waiting for the answer. But a female, this is the community board up here, but I don't know the number of that community board up by the Grand Concourse. But they kept on using the phrase affordable housing. And a female jumped up, what you mean about affordable housing? What about low income housing? And that's the difficulty we got right now.
So, Mr. Chairman, I could ask you about that. So you brought up a couple of issues, right? So I'm gonna try to pick one. I'm gonna try to pick one or two, if I could. So in reference to the sanitation issue, you're absolutely.
The sanitation issue is very important because because
I want to respond to it, if I may, Mr. Francis.
I was walking around and I noticed, if you want to find how many people live in the park, look how much garbage being put out there. Now I see just bags out there and so forth. And then you have to be hollering about rats and so forth. But what these folks doing, I know the sanitation department, when they put the car, they supposed to clean up that area right there, which they don't do. Especially with the wide basketball.
So you're asking questions or you just
the question
statements?
is getting somebody from sanitation and to explain their policy.
I could say some of the things that the committee is trying to do, or what I was proposing to Clarissa. It's like first get like holistic view of what's happening with the whole community regarding sanitation issues, regarding trash and things like that. I walk around the neighborhood. I know there's a couple of schools that they put their trash out there, and then it just creates chaos and things like that. So there's all those areas as well. It's industrial areas in the 142nd and St. Mary's that it's a lot of trash there. But I think the method now is a proposal, is an idea, is to figure out all the hotspots first, and then doing something called Green Corps, and also educational stuff. But first getting a holistic view of what's happening in the neighborhood, and then figure out the hotspots, and then letting agencies know the hotspot areas, and then using community efforts to basically get a more education. But also, like, you have ideas and things like that, it's fine. You just,
See, what you're saying, they already know about that. And what they've been cutting the services because this has been going on for decades. Well, as a kid, ever since I was going to elementary school. But at one time, they had top-notch service around here. They also got service. And that all we want to do is get the sanitation representative to come here to explain their policy. That's it.
So
the last one didn't show up.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. And thank you, Mr. Francis. I'm going to respond. So I just appreciate if I could respond. So at our last district service cabinet meeting, which happened on Tuesday, we had the Department of Sanitation respond for the person who's responsible for enforcement, which is the one who hands out tickets and fines and also perform arrests. We spoke about specific areas in the district that we thought were hot spots for the illegal dumping. We talked about when the sanitation is actually to pick up. And as you know, our Sergeant at Arms has talked about dog poop, throughout the whole place, and how we are enforcing people to clean up behind after your dog. So those are all issues. The district manager, along the chair, attended the district service council meeting. Like I said, it is open to the government, open to the public. That's what I said, and the government. It happens the second Tuesday of each month at 10 o'clock here. We have heads of every city agency sitting around the table. You know this, Mr. Francis. He's been on the board for a long time. That's it. Right. So everyone's invited at 10 o'clock on the second Tuesday in the morning of each month. And so to talk about what sanitation is, they are focusing on areas where we have homeowners who are getting ticketed because we have folks who are not moving their car. We talked about when sweeping is happening, whether or not they actually, especially around nature projects, the committee chair brought it up, where we have, unfortunately, oversaturation of trash, rats, the population that are burying in certain properties. We talked about also closing up the Triangle Plaza, which is on 149th and Bergen Avenue, where there's over proliferation of people who are using drugs of all kinds, hypothetical needles. So we had a very productive. I say that because we had a very productive district service cabinet meeting, and we do month by month monitoring what was said last month and where we are today. We did. We also have a plan for that. We want to figure out how needles are being picked up at St. Mary's. In 1 month, there's over 1,800 needles picked up just in St. Mary's Park alone. For us, that's a state. It's my own private opinion. It's a state of emergency. That means our parks are not in good condition. So going back to what you're saying, sanitation is on notice about this. The community board expects enforcement, and cleanup, because it not only has something to do with how our area is clean, but it has something to do with your mental health. If I come outside and I see that our district is, or members of our district see that the district is dirty, it messes with your mental. It messes with your day. It messes with how you see things. If I don't have access to the waterfront to be able to see you, if you're going to build buildings in front of it, but not be able to see the waterfront, it has something to do with your mental health. So those are all things that we as an executive committee and the board are very focused on. And that's why we have people like you who are always constantly advocating for us, because I think the time has come that we no longer continue to talk about it. We got to do something about it, and we got to amend our representations, do stuff about it, and hold our agencies accountable. So in this district manager, you have someone who's going to hold these agencies accountable to get results, because we're not just speaking words, we're not just videotaping, we're not just putting together an audience. We want results. Inspect what you expect or is a suspect. That's what our mayor says. So we're going to be holding the agencies to that same model.
I've comment on that. I'm not just seeing it in this neighborhood. I see it all over New York City. This is my personal opinion. I think that we should comment on the bottle buyback programs. I don't think it's necessarily sanitary, supportive, or productive for removing waste from our environment. And I say that because I've seen so many people rummage through trash bags and just discard anything that's not a can, and they're not putting it back into the trash can. And it's incentivizing people at such a little amount of money to pick up the issue that they're not even creating. And I keep seeing it. Like, I keep seeing people throw more trash on the ground just to grab a bottle from a bag, and then nothing else is left into that trash bag. So maybe you can raise that as an issue. That's an observation.
There was a conversation with SWAG, solid waste. It's a solid waste organization. So they were talking about that bill. So the next one is to invite them to talk about those things that you mentioned. But that was a discussion. I went to their meetings a couple of times. But that was one of the things that they were talking about.
Then let me ask.
They wanted to do it throughout the Bronx as well. So
Could I ask? Okay.
Yeah.
I know that here in New York, that
Yeah.
5-cent bottle thing, that's been a controversy from the very beginning. Okay, I was one of the people that voted no for
Yeah.
that, but obviously it went through, and that's a national
Yeah.
thing going on. But you're absolutely right, and I see that also. There are people that I will see passing around my neighborhood with a big carriage at 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, and they will do something like put all the garbage out there on the sidewalk just to go get those 2 bottles that are all the way at the end. So it's causing a lot of havoc sanitarily and otherwise, environmentally. You're absolutely right. And I see it happening again and again. And it's like there are people that make a career, it seems, out of getting the bottles to get the 5-cent reimbursement.
It's a way of substituting the income. The income
They're not
is.
blaming people for doing it.
It's not what they're doing; it's how they're doing it. That I think should be something has to start happening.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Delorny.
Yeah.
You know.
yeah.
It's not on the bottle. It's for the camera.
Oh, okay.
Hi, my name is Delorny. This is not about the camera. I mean, this is not about the bottles. The bottles is new information. I have no comments right now. Can you talk about the 1,800 needles being picked up at St. Mary's? If they're picking them up, and you think that's a problem?
No, I'm saying that we are in a state of emergency because that means that there's a large use of open drug use that's happening in the park, and people are dumping their needles there. So according to Parks Department, because Parks Department does pick up, Sanitation does pick up, and
Like 3 nonprofits.
and the nonprofits
Yeah.
Department of Health and Hygiene, and Parks Department has said that that they reported 1,800 plus pickup. Sanitation has a number they're going to come back with us on, and that means that instances of people being able to access use the park because they have to go to pick that up. So we are working to try to figure out a way creatively, working with our harm reduction agencies and other partners to figure out how can we assist so that people are not leaving needles open in the ground.
I'm on Friends of St. Mary's Parks. I think that's the name of the group. And I know the needles tend to be concentrated in certain parts of the park. It's not like littered throughout. There's like these big rocks and things of that nature.
Where there's encampments.
And then they're used, and one of the harm reductive nonprofits stated there used to be a sanitized bin where you could throw your needles. That was vandalized and not replaced. There's also some controversy about that. I know some people don't even like. The biggest concern I have is I know Corona, there's another bigger park that they not only have a huge needle problem, but there's also an upkick in HIV cases because of this issue, right? So I know it's really controversial, clean needle, exchange. I know that some people in our community and within our community board doesn't like those type of harm reduction programs. But we have a problem, but we can't lose the harm reduction clean syringe exchange when we know that there are some hot spots within the borough where HIV upkick is happening. Sure. Now, I'm not sure if they're thinking about bringing back this place where people can throw away their needles, so they won't use the floor. I don't know if they're going to use them, actually. I'm not sure. But I do know it's really controversial about our clean needle exchange, but I just want to make sure that we continue to do those programs where we know HIV is an upkick. I know. Okay, here goes Herman. Okay, that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Yeah. Chair.
We don't. Well, let's put it like this. It's designed, because like you look at it citywide, it only happens in a couple of areas citywide.
Conditioning.
And solution years ago, because you got to study prohibition does not work. Never has, never will. People want to get intoxicated. People want to gamble. And people definitely don't want to get. And they do California try to, what they did was, they took their, one county, they took their 300 voters, the people who come back and forth and tell it and put it in one area. And that recidivism dropped over 90% and so forth. Because they put everything in that one area and kept it in that one area, that one house above it, 5 children, work and everything else. So we can do the same thing here and so forth. When you look at the way your city is configured at, everybody wants to get high and so forth, but most of them don't want to get involved with that kind of behavior. Put more in one area, hospital setting, wherever you want to do like that, and boom, you live here, you work here, do everything right here, and you keep it there. Leave the rest of us alone. That's one solution right there. But they're doing it anyway. But this doesn't happen in Riverdale, doesn't happen in Drysdale.
But they are not in
Don't
Riverdale.
happen in Stone Bay.
You have some of it is systemic stuff. So it's a very complicated systems that happen in that. Sometimes I call it social conditioning. Mm-hmm. So there was discussion about why these things happening. A lot of times we have a lot of oppressive forces, and you have a certain psychological reaction to things. So it's a mix of things. So
yeah, but how are we gonna spend our life on? I have and I hate to say this, people are not gonna like me about it.
Yeah.
That expression of systemic, if you give to that a value, it will harm the future. You're sitting here right now, you can have an impact, you can make a change. You're still talking about systemic. Who is the systemic person? Who created that? Those that created it, we can change it.
Right.
By changing it, we have to be part of the change. Mm-hmm. We can't sit down always complain about systemic. Who are those systemic? They're no longer even in power. But we are in power, but we're going blind eye on it.
It's not.
It's always It's always easier to point the finger than make the change.
Yeah, because when we talk about systemic, right, and I'm gonna say this very controversial, we are doing this, but now I'm dead serious. How many of us are elected officials that come from this neighborhood? What are we doing about it? Let's don't sit down and keep talking about systemic. We'll make the system. We. Who can change the system? It's we.
You gotta be aware.
I understand, Gandhi,
I'm
there
sorry.
are barriers to that because again, this is like that door, going back to the
We
door
keep doing this,
situation.
talking about systemic.
And I have called plenty of times. I have the flyer from the Assemblywoman's office of where to go, the Department of Health, pick up after your pet. There are people that I have seen come from another neighborhood into our property at the building I live in and purposely put their dogs over there to carry on. At the garden where I'm involved in, we clean up that sidewalk every day.
Let me ask you a question.
And every day,
let me ask you this. When you're on 42nd Street or somewhere downtown by Wall Street, you're eating this. What do you do after you're done with it? You fold it, you hold it, you walk, you look for the can.
I do that in my neighborhood also.
Yeah.
And if there are
wait, let me finish.
see,
You see, what we have to keep in mind is that a single person doing it doesn't mean everybody does it. What I'm saying that when you do this downtown, you fold it. You see people fold, people from uptown, they fold it like this. But when you're uptown, you don't do that. You don't do that. So we can blame it. No, it's a subconscious thing that we have.
They seem
Oh,
to have
the environment
even
is not
more
my type
garbage
of
cans
environment.
in certain
Therefore,
areas.
I'm gonna
There are a
behave
lot of
like
little
I'm gonna
factors
behave like
that do
everybody
affect that.
else. So therefore, let me just make sure I
And
conform
they
with
don't have
everybody
needles
else.
all over the
And
place
then when you
over
walk
there
away,
either.
so let's
Okay.
try to make that change ourselves first.
Well, I'm gonna hold. Let me finish up real quick. I went to school board meeting last night. I'm gonna tell you, I sit in the school board too in the district, and it starts in the education system. I remember when I was going on tour of schools. Or they had the youngsters out there, doing lunchtime, and then when the youngsters started, fifth grade run back here, how the youngsters had took whatever they had, they threw it on the ground in the schoolyard and everything else. Now I'm looking at this mess out there, and I talked to the principal about that. How come we don't educate those youngsters to clean up behind themselves? I learned that at an early age, and so forth. You pick up behind yourself, because you demonstrate a level of intellect, how you raise and upgrade. And then when you got adults not educated children, I see this mess every day going on, educating their children how to pick up behind, so they're taking stuff to door, especially when you're in the elevator. I'm in the elevator riding, and people there just go around and around. They don't get off and pass the incinerator right there. They got incinerator every floor, but they won't not do that. And I spoke up on them about that. You talking about a value due to a mindset that they do this. I'm gonna do anything I feel like. I don't damn you to do that to speak on it. This is happening up here behavior I see every single day walking out here. And I understand because we in a fight. And what it is, you got to educate the people where you gonna live at. Because they don't do it in certain areas. There's only see that they do it around here.
So what I like to say as a person who works downtown and goes there all the time, Fulton Station is my station. That's a totally different neighborhood. There are unhoused people in Fulton who are sleeping on John Street. If you exit on the John side, I have a few people who that's their regular sleep spot, on the carton, on the floor. So there is some litter in the downtown area. Also, the downtown area does not have schools and homes like we do. So it's a lot of commercial businesses that therefore have a lot, in addition to sanitation, they have a lot of people cleaning their sidewalks. Fulton has a whole cleaning system for the train station. So I don't think it's a fair comparison from Fulton to even the hub that has 200,000 people and schools and kids moving around the same way. I know we're meeting with sanitation about how we can increase our cleaning, but I do want to tell you that the downtown area does have a lot of private cleaning that is happening to make their neighborhoods look different than ours. So I think there might be someone throwing the banana and not holding it, but there's also so many private buildings that are picking up that banana.
There's so many
sled.
more services.
There's so many more services. We are
understand
we are an
And-
underserved neighborhood, and we need to really get more services. I do think us being poor and underserved is part of some of that systemic issue, which is why we need to get on top of sanitation, and we are working on that. And we need to get more services and more cleanups. So some of that is systemic, and we are advocating. That's why we are all on our community board, pushing hard so agencies can serve us and fill in that private gap that we don't have. And because our neighborhood has more shelters and public housing, which do not happen in that commercial area, so it's not the same comparison. And I really want to say that the people in our neighborhood are not all bad people. Maybe some need to throw away their banana and some of them need to pick up their poop, but I don't think everybody in rich neighborhoods are saints.
But
And to add on to that, absolutely. I work downtown also. I'm a doorman.
Yeah.
So the private cleaning, that's absolutely true. I clean outside my building. Every other doorman does it. I walk in there at 4 p.m. First thing I do is grab a pressure washer and I pressure wash the sidewalk and I pick up other people's trash. Every day I get there, the sidewalk is full of trash. I have to pick it up every single time. And I do the porter shift. I have to clean the whole building. You'd be surprised how dirty up there downtown they can be. They're filthy.
So I'm not. No. I think the defense we are doing is not
And
helping
also,
us.
I want
The
to let
reason,
you know.
give me 1 second. The reason I'm saying this is this, right? If you're not walk out there right now, I'm not saying that things are so perfect. No, this is a residential area. I understand that, right? I live in an area also where you got some neighbor that are really filthy. You understand me? So this is a systemic problem? No, it's a personal issue. It's people that have a conscience of not caring. Dog poop You walk between 147 and 143rd. We had this big building that just was on 147th Street, right? Everybody live there has a dog. Guess where they walk the dog? Down that direction, because that 2 block is industrial area. After 5 o'clock, it's closed. Guess what? They walk the dog right there. The little dog just go poop, walk right by, right? So you tell me this is systemic? No, it's individual problem. If everyone was cleaner after that dog, we wouldn't have that area that way, right? So don't compare it with downtown. Downtown has that force that they have to do. First of all,
They could do the
even
same
people,
law
even
enforcement
people downtown
and
have a
apply
conscience
$250
of doing so.
fine.
Somebody in the building you live in, do they come out every day and walk and drop the garbage in a garbage pitch in front of the building? No, right? We do up here. Go look at 149 on Southern Boulevard. Look at the garbage. People come out with their garbage, throw it in there. That's where it's supposed to be. No, they do it downtown. No, let's don't come out with some kind of excuses sometimes where we have a bad behavior.
I understand. So,
That's very understandable.
understandable.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that the system is there, but we have to make an effort to change the system.
Absolutely. Because when I walk my dogs, I live in Parkchester condos. There's barely any grass space to walk my dogs. I have to walk towards Castle Hill where the neighborhood is and walk them over there. You know how many garbage bins are on the corners in the neighborhood right there?
You adjourn, Mr. Chair?
Gonna adjourn.
Oh,
Because
oh,
we
sorry.
could have a discussion.
Oh, I'll cut myself short. I'll cut myself short.
Yeah.
I second.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, we can talk forever about that.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because the law
We got places to go.